Hey guys, good evening. It is Kat here. Welcome back. Or if you've never been here, then welcome for the first time. Um, so this evening, I had the thought to talk about um, what happens when others impose their views upon you. Now, this is my perspective, just to give full disclosure, but this is what I have learned, or at least what applies to me. So as I've grown older, I've struggled with being somebody who likes to work too hard. And I will throw myself into a job or um, work long hours or play video games way too long or too late or too much in general. It just really depends on what's interesting me at the time. And a lot of time that does end up being work. And I've noticed as I get older, I like to shuffle between jobs because when you don't have a degree, you don't have expertise, and therefore you're not doing things that are typically too complicated. And I like to learn. Now, I will say that throughout my career as the different jobs I've done pizza delivery. I sold electronics. I have done sales. I worked for my dad's company for a little while, and technically he classified me as the CFO, Chief Financial Officer. Now, what I really did was I sold games online and went from there. Now, uh, needless to say, I've worked in factories, I've worked in fast food, um, and yeah, here I am now, and I'm in college and working with children, which is what I want to do with my life, and love it. It's absolutely incredible. But I work three different jobs in order to itch the little scratches that I have to keep myself entertained. Now, where do people's expectations come into play? I've always had people who really want to look out for me and tell me, hey, you're working too hard, too many hours, doing too much, doing too, just too much. There's really no other way to say it. And yes, I will agree. Now, my stubbornness definitely came into play. And as they started telling me this, I wanted to work more and throw myself into it and say, hey, I can do this. I'm strong. One week I worked 72 hours when I was working in my factory job. Would not recommend to anybody. Okay? Do not get me wrong. It is miserable. Don't do it. Now, here I am, and I've learned to balance. And I know that in order for me to work really hard throughout the week, I have to have my weekends off. Sundays are dedicated mostly to church with my youth group, and I cook for them and do things for them. But Saturdays, I am 100% okay with sleeping till 3 in the afternoon and playing video games. Now, I know some people may say that isn't the most healthy mechanism for coping, but it's not. For me, it isn't coping. It's something that I truly enjoy to allow myself to sleep in. And because throughout the week I make myself get up early to be at work at 5 in the morning, and I typically don't go to bed until 11. By the time Saturday hits, I just want to sleep in. And Fridays are one of my hardest working days. Now, okay, let's get back to it, right? So, as time grew on, I began to notice that the more people told me that I was working too hard, I was doing too much, my stubbornness eventually eased. And I started to think, maybe I am working too much. And then I ended up tapering off almost completely, especially when I went back to school. And so I found myself being more lethargic, not wanting to be as physically active, and got to the point where I was downright lazy. Now, mind you, this was when everything took off with COVID, and I think that definitely had something to do with it. But on top of that, I was also never getting out of the house, not really doing much of anything, thinking that I could just, recharge my batteries all the time and never actually run the batteries. So I just had this extra potential energy that never went anywhere. And what happens when that happens? You get stuck in that mindset, right? So here we are, we're beginning to get back to normality, and I'm seeing my life beginning to shift back to who I was before. So today's Monday. In, retrospect, I know it'll be hard with YouTube to see later on down the line with time frame. So just to give you mindset right now, I just love to go. So it is 10 p.m. Where I am, and I woke up this morning at 6 and have been going since then. There has been 1 hour that I played video games between one of my jobs and the next one of my jobs. So I immediately get up and I go hang out with kiddos. I work with them in the morning from about 6 to 9. And then I have class on Mondays from 9:50 till 12:10. Then I typically tutor. So I did actually have that free time today because there's a midterm, and so she didn't need to tutor. And then I work from 2 to 5, and then I go to another job between 6 and 9. So I'm usually done about 9:30 or so. I go get dinner, do what I need to do. Today I paid rent, that kind of stuff. And then I come home. And yesterday I made a YouTube video, and then today I'm making another one. And I have energy like this. There's still this potential energy that I feel like when I have it, I just want to burn it, right? And it's part of being, I have a little bit of ADHD. So when I have it, I really do want to use it, right? So I've spent a lot of my potential energy while I was out doing my job, which none of my jobs really take much mind except for my first one, which is working with kids. And you have to be on with kids. You have to be aware. You have to be mindful. But my other ones I can spend, planning things for school or getting ready for other plans. So I drive around with one of my jobs, and so when I'm driving, I will plan homeworks or like talk with the people when I see them and kind of bounce ideas off of them. And then one of my other jobs, I actually work at my college where I go to, and so there I am able to do homework, and I keep up on top of everything else while I'm doing it, so it makes it one of the best jobs I could potentially have. So I have found ways in order to recharge my batteries, do the things I need to do, while also working to the point where I feel satisfied. Because being a full-time student, owning my own apartment or renting, semantics, but calls for the necessity for money. Fortunately, unfortunately, it is what it is. You just have to make sure you have it. And so you also have to make sure you have enough time and enough, money, and you have enough wit to do it. So this is my first semester that I'm really getting back into things as things are going back to normal. And I think I've noticed that, I have put my foot down and not allowed other people to tell me that I'm working too hard. I just explained to them why I do all the jobs I do, where they make me happy, and how they make things more satisfying and overall and overarching a better day-to-day experience. Now, I hit hard Monday, Tuesday. Mondays and Tuesdays are my hard days, and then by the time Wednesday comes, Thursday, Friday, it starts to taper off a little bit, as much as I can allow. And then Saturday gets here, and I video game the whole time. And there's free time in between, Mondays is a rare occasion, and even then, again, I work a job where I don't really have to do much. So today I watched YouTube videos about Apex, which is my favorite game that I play. And that for me just helps me get ready for the next job. Now, I think to kind of wrap all this up, the most important thing is to make sure that you're getting enough sleep, which I don't always, because if you put two and two together, if I'm staying up or if I'm waking up at like 3-ish, which isn't always true, but sometimes like noon on Saturdays and Sundays, and then trying to go to bed so I can be up at 5-ish in the morning on Monday mornings, sometimes that doesn't work out. So here I am. I have a little bit of sleepiness, a little more bags. I'm not as alert as I typically would be. And I read a book last night. Again, it's just that gusto, that energy. You just feel like you want to do one more thing, and and sometimes that's okay. But tonight it's 10:15 now, and as long as I go to bed, normally by 11:30, I'll probably be okay. And I'm telling you right now, I'm going to hit the hay in probably about half an hour. But for now, I have recorded a YouTube video on top of everything else I've done, and it makes me feel satisfied. I'm an I'm a homebody. I like to be at home when I can, and this just gives me something additional to do on top of it. So, allow yourself to be as strong as you are. Know your strengths and your weaknesses, and don't let other people tell you that you have to slow down. But make sure you're spending time looking for people and creating connections in your life. And that's part of where the jobs that I really have come full circle. Every job I have friends there. I have connections. I love the children. I enjoy my classwork. As an education major, I'm in a small college, so I know everyone that I'm in with, and I enjoy their presence and their time. So, me being allowed to slow down and really enjoy those moments are what makes it worth it, and what makes it so it really isn't that hard. But it's all about who you put around you and the things that you do and the kind of jobs you do. So, I'm going to leave you with that little kernel of wisdom today. And, well, thanks for stopping by. And I hope you guys see me next time for my next little kernel. Bye, guys.